Okay. All right, Brady, go ahead.
All right, awesome. So we're here with talking to fighter Brady Porter. And Brady, I gotta first off start by saying you have the coolest name out there. Also coming from a fellow Brady, like Tom Brady, the GOAT. It's awesome. So we'll
The
start off with
the
that.
Brady bunch.
The Brady Bunch. There's so many different awesome Bradys out there, but we'll start with that. But thanks for joining us. We're here to just learn. We're going to start off by just learning a little bit about you, your background. We're going to lead into the fight that you recently had, and then we're going to talk about some like future plans. But I guess to start off, just we want to know about your background. Like, how long have you been fighting for?
So, I mean, I kind of say like my whole life, but like not steadily. So, my dad,
Yeah.
he's been training for a long time, my mom, my brother, but it's all just been kind of lackadaisical up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Before that, I was doing a lot of the basics. So we'd get like a group of guys together and start getting them through the basics, and I'd learn all of that with them. And then most of the guys, they get to a point and then they give up. It gets a little too much, doesn't become a real habit or something that they really want to move forward in. So then we'd find another group of guys and I'd go through the basics again. So I don't know, like you could say my whole life, you could say a couple years. It just kind of depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Brady, what are some of the disciplines then that like you kind of practiced, as you went forward? What are some of the things you worked on?
So um we were looking at getting me some like boxing bouts and stuff like that, but I wasn't so sure about that. Like one of the boxing coaches wanted me to go to like 135, and that's just too small for me. And there were just some things going on there, but I've done most of my life. Like my dad, he's big into like Wing Chun and Bruce Lee's martial arts, like Jeet Kune Do and things like that. So I've kind of been learning a lot of that, but with training at my gym that I'm at right now, it's mostly just wrestling, a little bit of jujitsu, boxing, and MMA. So kind of just depends on who's in there that day. Some of the guys only do boxing. So there's a few of them that don't really love doing the MMA rounds with us. And then there's other guys we have some really good wrestlers in there, some coaches actually, like some high school coaches and stuff like that that come in. So that's kind of nice. But for the most part, at the gym where I mainly train, it's just strictly like MMA.
Okay, cool. So with fighting, I'd imagine that you have to put a lot into it, just like anything, but fighting for sure is something that you have to really devote yourself to. What do you think is most like gratifying, or what do you get out of it that you really enjoy with fighting? Or what has it
Um,
taught you?
I would say it's just a big outlet for me. So if I'm feeling sad, if I go in there, I come out feeling happy. Obviously, if I'm happy and go in there, usually I come out pretty happy as well.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know if I'm angry, I can go in there and let the bags take control of that. And I don't know. It's a good grounding spot for me. I feel like it makes it so I don't have to think something that I can always go to.
For sure.
So Brady, you mentioned that at your gym you've been training a lot of different disciplines in terms of jujitsu, striking, wrestling. But personally, how would you describe your style? Like, what do you feel most comfortable doing? What approach do you like to take in fights? Like, do you feel like you're more of a stand-up fighter, more of a kickboxer? Um, do you feel like you're more of a wrestler? In what way would you describe your style?
So for me, I like standing up more. I feel like I'm more comfortable there. But with my last fight, we knew that he didn't have much ground game, so that was really a lot of what we worked on. And sadly, I never got to showcase any of that, but um, we worked on a lot of ground game for this and had like we would just have guys rolling with me lined up in a line, ready to go, and I'd just stay in there. So it was a lot of that, lots of the gym showing up for me instead of like because it's such a small gym. So everyone that came in there was only there for my training camp. Like, so they come in to get me through the rounds and not themselves. So that was kind of cool. I like that. But no, I would say I like striking more, but I've gotten a little bit more comfortable as we train for this fight. So I kind of like the ground a little bit more now. Like it's kind of fun to me. It's something new. I did a little bit of jujitsu growing up, nothing crazy at all, but one of my dad's best friends owns a gym here. So I would go once in a great while. So I knew some like moves and tricks, but I didn't know any of like the real stuff. I just knew some stuff when I was growing up, and I would always use it on my friends.
There you go. Get them when they're not expecting it.
Oh yeah, just grab them
You'll
in an
always
arm
you'll
bar or
always want to fight
something.
for
But
sure. No,
yeah, I mean, I like striking more though. I feel like I'm more comfortable there. But as soon as someone ties up that distance with me, since I am so long, I want to take them down to the ground. I don't want them standing here doing stuff to me, where it's harder for me to attack them.
Yeah, and actually, like segmenting off that was going to be another question I asked. Like, because you are, how tall are you? What, 6'3", 6'2"?
6'3", like with shoes, I'm 6'4".
And so, fighting, at 155, you've got a huge length advantage,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And like obviously that feeds into, the way you fight. You kind of talked about how you've used it as an advantage, in grappling, but also in striking. Can you talk more about that and give us kind of an insight how you try to use your reach as an advantage?
So sometimes it's hard because like everyone kind of has the same goal when they walk up to fight me or spar with me or whatever it is to close that distance. So I have to always try and find ways to stop that. And like with what happened with the last fight, he managed to get away in there, and then that's when I'm at my weakest. If I can push someone away, keep them at bay, then that's where all my power is going to be landing. That's where what's going to keep them off of me. But a lot of things that you can do with it is like something that we were training on, and I actually caught him, I think. Well, I almost caught him with that like head kick, and I caught him with a knee. Was when someone tries to come in, it's like you step out and either kick or knee, punch, whatever it is, but you're stepping off of like their center line. So instead of keeping your fight like really linear and following them like where they're going, you step off of the line that they're coming at you with. And that's been something that has helped me a lot lately. Something that was kind of an eye opener when someone said that to me was like, stop keeping it so linear and like just staying right with them and thinking you're like supposed to move like this. Now you can move anywhere. And that helped a lot.
awesome. And with that, let's kind of segue into the fight that you had. Obviously, probably not the outcome you would have liked, but I'm sure a great learning experience. But I want to start with the very beginning, which is the walkout. I want to know, like, because I've always wondered how it feels just to walk out, because I'm, not brave enough to put myself in that position. I'm just going to watch from the sidelines. That's where I'm at. But like, are there butterflies? I'm sure there's a lot of adrenaline. Are
Oh
there
yeah.
nerves? Are you scared, or how does that feel? Just the walk out to the octagon.
So that was nerve-wracking for sure.
Mhm.
I actually did ballroom for 9 years. So I've
Okay.
danced in front of thousands of people before. I've won national championships and things like that. So
Uh,
I've been in front of big crowds, but I thought it would be the same. I didn't think I would be that scared because I'm used to that.
mhm.
But it was pretty nerve-wracking. It's different when you're going up to fight somebody. It's like it's a different kind of vulnerability, I would say. Like you're kind of exposing yourself in a different way. So that was kind of
Uh-huh.
weird. But once I was in the ring, you kind of, I don't know, I tried to just almost tunnel vision myself. So everything around the ring, except for my coaches, was not there. After I stepped in there, I wasn't paying attention to nothing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So one thing that I love about MMA, and the reason why, I think combat sports is so unique is because it is a sport that it's pretty merciless in terms of mistakes, right? If you're playing a football game, you give up a touchdown in the first quarter, you got 3 quarters to get them back. Or same with
Yeah.
basketball or soccer, right? But the octagon's pretty unforgiving, right? And you got caught early, which happens in MMA, which happens in combat sports. You kind of talked about what you'd planned for, what you'd prepped for. But what are some of the things that you wish you could have shown more in the fight? Like, I mean, now looking back with hindsight, what are some things that you wish you could have done differently, or what are some things that you wish you could have showcased, had it been able to go all 3 rounds?
So one thing was I wanted to show my kicks off, man. Everyone that I've gone to, my Muay Thai trainer, um, even just my dad's buddies who've been doing this with him a long time. If once they come in and they want to see like how I'm doing, whatever, they hold pads for me to kick, and they're always just, oh my gosh, because they don't expect it. I've been training Muay Thai for a while, so I've known how to kick for a long time, and that was something that I've always been confident in. And my legs are so long, man. They're insane. So I have a lot of reach with them, which I was pretty excited because if you land a couple of those good body kicks, if it's a solid kick, it'll put somebody down. And so I was excited to see where I could get with that, but I didn't get a chance to do that. I almost got him with a head kick. He barely moved out of the way and they hit his gloves. I was like, no. But I actually did get the opportunity to talk to Brendan, my opponent, afterwards, after all the fights were done and stuff. We were just walking out. We were talking to him, and he told me that leg kick that he took from me, that he hasn't felt something like that. He said I messed up his leg pretty bad. And I was like, well, that's good. At least I only kicked him once, so that's good to hear that. At least that's good. But no, I was excited. I kind of wanted to take out my plan was to kind of go from legs to body and change between there, kicking that, going for that with hands, kicking his legs, and trying to kind of just weaken him down because I knew his striking was good. But yeah, I wanted to do that and then eventually start going for that head kick again. I wanted him early on to be wary, not to come in so close and that's kind of why I threw that head kick, was to keep him at distance. I didn't think it was going to fully land or anything, but it was just a, hey, stay away. And I threw a teep and whatever, keep him at distance. But sometimes that doesn't work.
For sure, for sure. So I imagine after coming off a fight like that, I feel like it could go one of two ways. Either it'll like amp you up and you're like, okay, I know what I need to work on. I'm ready to, take it forward to the next one. Or, it could go the opposite way and you're like demoralized and you're like, oh, that was tougher than I thought, fighting's tough. Where do you stand after that fight? Like, where do you feel yourself?
So right now, I took a little break. I haven't been
Uh-huh.
back to the gym at all. I've been talking to the boys, and they're all excited to see me back.
For
I'm
sure.
planning on going in either tomorrow or next Monday, like on Monday. So I'll be right back in there. We've talked to some of the guys at Fierce Fighting Championship. They're actually planning on trying to come to IF in February. So there's going to be a new arena built here, and so they're gonna try and do their next one in IF at that new arena, and they've already talked to me about it and asked if I'd be interested in that. And my coach actually fights, and he's fought for them. He's actually gotten one of their belts, so he's gonna go and try and be on this card with us and some of the boys at the gym as well. So that'll be kind of cool. Something that can prep us all as well. With all of us fighting on a card, we'll have some work in for us.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the deal. This is your first fight, right? And the thing that's unique about MMA is you're really not a grown up, right, in the sport. You
Oh
really
no.
don't hit your prime until you're what? Your 30s, 32, 33, around
Yeah,
that age. And you're what? Are you 20, 21?
I'm 20, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're just a
Wow.
baby, man. You're just a baby in the sport, right?
For
And you look
sure.
at so many of the fighters that are UFC champions. Alexander Volkanovski comes to mind. Guys that lose their first amateur fight, right? And when they first get into the arena, there's a lot of tough lessons that
Oh
happen in the
yeah.
octagon. So it's great to see that, you have this attitude of, you still seem excited to fight. But what are kind of your goals in terms of the progression of your career? What are some of the things you want to accomplish in the next few years? And then ultimately, what are some of the things you want to accomplish in, the next decade or so?
So something that I kind of wanted to do with my fighting was my Muay Thai coach that I trained with early on. He's been in the military, he's been a police officer, He went to Thailand when he was, I think, probably my age about. He went and trained there, trained with one of the best trainers. He competed there in Thailand, which is kind of crazy for a foreigner, especially back then to do that, to be able to do that. Back then it was common for someone to die in the ring. So it's pretty insane. And he's trained some Navy SEALs, he does SWAT stuff. It's insane. But he wants me, and he like kind of sparked something in me when I was a little bit younger, was to try and go to Thailand to go train. And so something that I've been looking at is going down there and going there for about a month and then coming back after that. And really, it's not that expensive once you're there. It's the plane tickets. But there's a place called Tiger Muay Thai. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Alexander Volkanovsky
Hmm.
trains there.
Mhm.
Kamzat was just there. Like so many
Wow.
UFC fighters go and train and come out of that gym. And so that's somewhere that I've been looking at, and it's affordable for me and I can do it. So I might be doing that this next year, 2023, at some point, taking a month off and flying down and doing some training. That'd be really cool though. I kind of wanted to turn my dad's gym into a little gym and start training people, and maybe training little kids at first and doing like a women's self-defense because my dad does that class for the church a lot. So I was thinking
Mhm.
about maybe doing it more of a class and being able to have girls come in and do more of a longer period of time instead of just one night. Um, but yeah, I kind of wanted to start a gym, and then from there, if I can get enough people coming in, enough revenue coming in, I could eventually buy my own place. I do construction. I have a ton of people that I know that I could get a place super easy and build one pretty cheap. So that's kind of what I want to do. And then from there, I mean, obviously invest the money other places and start doing other things as well. But I kind of want to open a gym eventually. My goals for in the ring, I mean, we'll see. I don't want to like be too cocky and try and shoot too high or something, but I want to go places for sure, and I want to get some belts, especially as an amateur and as a pro. Um, I don't think there would be a point in like going to Thailand and training if I wasn't ever going to use it. So I
Mhm.
want to like be able to showcase those things and the skills, but I think training is also, I mean, fighting is also a lot different than teaching. So you kind of have to be, I don't know, you don't have to. If you train, you can teach, but you can't have like a teacher go into the ring sometimes, because they just aren't going to do good. But you can have a fighter train somebody. So
For sure.
Awesome. It sounds like you have some pretty big goals, which I love. That's awesome. You mentioned a couple of UFC fighters earlier, and Kellen and I are big UFC guys. That's kind of when we fell in love with the sport of MMA. Um, are there any like fighters that you feel like you kind of want to take after, or do you have a favorite fighter, or any that you like to learn from, as far as just looking at the guys doing it at the top level?
so I actually do that a lot. Something that my dad has instilled in me is like trying to visualize yourself and visualize what you're going to do. Also studying people, studying the greats. So some people that I watch a lot of fights on and a lot of footage on are like George St. Pierre. Um,
Hmm.
I try to look for people who I kind of look like. So like my body style. So I look more like a Israel Adesanya. I look more like a John Jones, tall, lanky guys I like watching because you can definitely get things from watching guys like that, like using your range and how to use it. That's a big one, how to move your body, even just body mechanics. That helps. Watching John Jones wrestling has helped me a lot, even in the gym. I came back and started trying a lot of his little inside and outside sweeps that he does
Hmm.
every time when he fights. And so I was like, oh, like that's super smart. And I started doing that, and I was throwing guys around. Um, but my favorite for a while was Izzy, I would say. Um, but I don't know, his last couple of fights haven't been super crazy.
Hmm.
My all time is definitely John Jones. I think he's the GOAT. Like everyone
I
says Khabib
Yep.
now and stuff.
Oh,
And
man.
I still think it's
Yeah.
John Jones.
Yeah, I think we'd both agree with you there.
Yeah,
for sure.
no, I mean, there's, I mean, not disrespecting Habib, but I mean, looking at John Jones, looking at, Anderson. I mean, there's the GOAT conversation, man. That's a good one for another day. But man,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like those comps, and I really like how, you talk about using your length and how that's an advantage. I mean, we saw that with Sean O'Malley in his last fight
Oh,
against
yeah.
Piotr Jan. Judge it as you will, that length had its advantages. So how would you say, what have you learned from your first fight in terms of things you can switch up for your next fight?
Um, One thing I need to do is just stop him from coming in. He came in and he actually, when he came in, he switched stances, and that's what confused me because he walked past his foot and then walked past it again. So he almost changed stances twice. So I thought he was coming in with the right when he switched, and he came in with a left hook as he like a jumping left hook and it caught me really clean, and then he perfectly hit the second shot as well. Um, I would say just kind of reading. I mean, that was more of just a read that I didn't get. That wasn't a good read. I probably ducked the other way. Honestly, I can't even remember like a couple seconds before and after. I remember in there, I dropped for half a second, and then I tried to go for his legs, and then that's when the ref came in, and I didn't even think the fight was over because it was only like half a second, so I was like, oh, I'm fine, like it was like oh crap, oh, I'm fine. And so even he was confused when we talked to him afterwards. He's like, I thought you were still fine to fight, like you were still wrapping around my leg, so like it's but obviously he didn't have a good angle and things like that, and so his job is to keep me safe, so that's no one's like fault at all. I got caught and it was a good shot, but I would say practicing coming in on him as well. A lot of my thing was to keep him away from me, but I need to figure out ways to go in on him and secure either a takedown or a couple good shots and back right out. That's something that O'Malley's really good at, is he jumps in and jumps right back out, and so he can control that really well. We were actually watching that fight before like I was at the hotel just watching it on the TV there, and we were saying that it was just like the same fight I was gonna have was O'Malley versus Jan, someone trying to get in on me like that with power shots, and then me trying to practice and keep him off me, keeping my length.
For sure. Maybe need